So it is for everyone. It is for everyone. That children can do whatever they want, that it's a free for all, and the child can work with their hands and with animals and also learn some academic subjects.
For those who may not be familiar, could you please provide a brief overview of the Montessori method and its core principles?
Yes, so the Montessori method is an educational approach, and what we do is that we put in the natural development of discipline, the natural development of the child, where they have self-directed activities that they're going to follow. But there are some key principles in the Montessori method. So one of them is the respect for children. We value and respect each child's uniqueness. That's something very important, a core value that we have. Another thing is that we do have a prepared environment. And a prepared environment is when the guide, a prepared adult, is going to create this beautiful environment that has carefully chosen scientific materials that are going to support the child in this natural path for development. We also offer an environment that has freedom, but freedom within limits. So we're going to allow the child free choices, but there's going to be a certain structure setting around those choices. We also have mixed age groups. So we have children from, depending on the classroom, if you are talking about an elementary classroom, there's children from 6 to 12. If you're talking about a primary classroom, a children's house classroom, there's children from the ages of 3 to 6. So we have a multi-age classroom. Another thing that it's important is that we have what we call the uninterrupted learning. This means that children can work at their own pace for long periods of time. We don't interrupt them to move them to a different activity or a different, like we're doing math for an hour, now we're going to do language for an hour. We don't do that. We allow the child to follow their interest and work with an activity for as long as they want. And we do have what we call hands-on materials. Materials we know, especially in primary and for the infant community, the child is the sensory motor learner. So we have materials that they can manipulate, that they can touch, they can explore. And it's a key principle of the Montessori. Another thing that we do is that we don't have rewards or punishments, because what we want the child is to develop is, like I said, inner discipline. So, and I will talk more about that. And we also promote peaceful learning. What we want is to promote cooperation between children. We support children to develop conflict resolution. And we offer this through what we call the grace and courtesy lessons. So in a nutshell, those are the core principles of the Montessori method.
That sounds wonderfully positive to me. It really does. What are some of the misconceptions about Montessori education? How parents can separate or distinguish fact from fiction about the Montessori method?
Yes, so there are many common misconceptions about what Montessori is. For example, what I've heard is that people say, oh, Montessori is only for children that have special needs, or Montessori is only for the gifted children. But that's a misconception, because Montessori is designed for all children, regardless of their abilities, because the Montessori approach is individualized and it's adaptable for each child's unique needs. So it is for everyone. It is for everyone. Another misconception that we typically hear is that they say Montessori is not academically rigorous. They think it's not the same as traditional or mainstream education. But what we know from research is that Montessori is it's equal, or sometimes can even exceed traditional education standards. And it offers a strong foundation in math and language and science and many other subjects. And I don't know if you've heard about her, but Professor Angeline Lillard from the University of Virginia, she directs the Early Childhood Development Laboratory there, and she wrote a book called The Science Behind the Genius. And in that book, she displays many research-based data on how Montessori benefits not only the academic learning of the child, but also their social and emotional development. So that's a common misconception. Another misconception is that Montessori does not have structure, that children can do whatever they want, that it's a free for all, and that's not true. It is a flexible structure, but there is a structure. We do have freedom, but we have freedom within limits. So children are allowed to work with the activities and work at their own pace, but there are some guidelines the child has to follow within the freedom that we offer. Common misconception is that Montessori is only for preschool children. That's something else that we hear. But we know Montessori has been designed for infancy up to adolescence. So Maria Montessori spent many years in India because she was exiled in India, and she developed what she called the cosmic education. And this cosmic education was the foundation for the method for children that are learning in the second plane of development, which is the elementary years. And she talked about how we should show the child the keys to the world, and not only the world, but the keys to the universe, and how we can involve the child in connecting with the universe and understanding how everything works. So she recommended a farm-like environment, which is called the Earth Kinder, and the child can work with their hands and with animals and also learn some academic subjects, but they're in contact with nature. So Montessori is for all ages. So that's a common misconception. Also, Montessori, another misconception is that people think that Montessori doesn't have a lot of opportunities for socialization, which is not true. Because as I said, there's this multi-age approach where children that are older are mentors to the younger, and there's this beautiful synergy where they can communicate and they can for help and offer solutions. So there's plenty of socialization that happens in the Montessori environment. So that's another misconception. Yeah, so what I would recommend for parents is to do their due diligent research. Go to Montessori schools, visit them, sit down, observe what the children are doing, talk to other teachers, and join different workshops. Like I said, I work at the Montessori Training Center Northeast as an auxiliary trainer, and we offer workshops for parents so that they can understand what is Montessori, what really is this beautiful, wonderful philosophy that we recommend for children. So those are some misconceptions that I've heard, and those would be my recommendations for parents or people that are just interested in knowing more about the method.
Please write in the comments if you're already using the Montessori method in raising your children, and what are your impressions?
So just one question I have, just briefly. You said infancy to adolescence. Can you just be a little bit more specific on that?
Yeah, so Montessori, there's different, what Maria Montessori called the planes of development, and this is based on the stage theories. She borrowed a lot of these theory from Piaget, or in Spanish we say, well, in Italian we say Piaget. She borrowed this theory of the planes of development, and we have environments that are Montessori environments for children that are 6 months to 2.5 years of age. We call it we call that environment A to I, assistance to infancy. And it's a different environment because the child that has different needs at that time. They have different needs, and all the materials and everything that adult is going to do with that child is going to be pertinent plane of development, which would be the children's house environment, which goes from 3 to 6 years old. And the materials and the activities that the child is going to do there are different from the ones in the previous plane. Then we move forward to the elementary child from 6 to 12 years of age. And we also offer activities for that child that suit their developmental needs. And like I said, then we have the next environment, which be for children from 12 to 18, which is the adolescent program. Maria Montessori recommended an earth kinder, a farm-like community for the child where he can be in contact with nature.
Very nice.
So we don't want to have too many toys. We don't want to have a disorganized room. We want to have a nice organized room. They can help you maybe sort some socks around them. So take them with you to the grocery store. Take them with you to the park. Go to museums.